Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week, and this is the show where I review all the comics I've read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week and everything in between. So at the end of the video, we also talk about the viewer's pick of the week. So let me know in the comments below what your pick of the week is so you have a chance to be featured. This week was kind of a smaller haul. I had about 9 books, but there were a lot of big issue ones, so I'm excited to talk about those. One of them, really 2 of them, being the title of this video. So jumping into number 9, which is a one-shot, kind of included as the issue 1s, and that is Werewolf by Night issue 1. I always wanted to get into Elsa Bloodstone's character. I feel like she looks cool, she has a rough and tough personality, and I'm like, all right, this could be an interesting character. But anytime I do read her stuff, there's nothing that really grabs me, and honestly, that's a big part of this issue too. She has this relationship with the werewolf character. I'm guessing there's some previous storylines with them. They pick up those storylines. There's a lot of inner monologue and a lot of flowery information here. And by the end, there's nothing that really changes with the character, but I feel like you had to have a little bit of baggage with those 2 characters to really sink your teeth in. But I like the art. I really, really enjoyed the art. I like the watercolor palette with that. So it wasn't a bad book. I don't know if it was really for me as someone who's never really gotten into either character. So giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 9. Moving on to number 8, a book that I really want to love and is just kind of been on the lower level of my list, and that is World's Finest Teen Titans issue 3. I really like the regular World's Finest book because there's very much a direction. The arcs, maybe even a little long, have a bigger picture to tell. And I feel like with World's Finest Teen Titans, they are definitely going more the one-shot avenue. It doesn't feel as serialized to me. This issue, we get to see our teens go to a con. Robin's like, I don't want them to do this, and then Robin has to save the day. And that's pretty much the issue. There's a bit of information with the Terror Titans in the end, and I'm like, all right, that could be interesting. Maybe that's a thread they'll pick up in the next couple of issues. But overall, this was honestly a bit of a forgettable issue. Even if the art was good, I'm just not as invested in this story. I'm going to still try giving it a couple more issues, see where it goes, but I've been a little bit disappointed with this one. So giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 8. Moving on to number 7, which is Daredevil issue 1. I've been picking up Daredevil for a while. Chip Zdarsky's run kind of fell through for me in that second volume, and this issue picks up the pieces of that second volume with honestly less strong artwork. I didn't feel like the artwork was too strong for this, but it's Matt Murdock. He's a priest. He kind of forgot his past. Now he's remembering his past. That's really the whole issue. And this is an expensive issue. It's double sized. It's $7, this book. And I don't know if it was worth the price tag for me. I might pick up issue 2 just because I've been following Daredevil for a while now, but nothing even from that previous volume has really gotten me to excited about Daredevil, besides the fact that Elektra's Daredevil. I've been liking that, but I don't know if they really tapped into the potential as of recently with that beat either with the story. So giving that 2.5, no, I gave that 3 stars, and that is number 7. All right, moving on to number 6. I was surprised to see this a little lower. Not a bad book. I just think it's more of a point A to point B, and that is the Cull issue 2. Again, definitely more of a point A to point B. There's a lot of characters here, so it's a little harder to get into everyone's narrative, but it's the gang saying, all right, do we go to this world or not? We do. What does this world look like? There's some romance brewing, and then you get to see a mysterious figure in the end. We're like, okay, that's connected to this world. What is this world? You don't get a ton of answers, and I feel like because you're juggling so many romances, so many different characters, it's a little hard to invest into one of them, but I'm still here for the ride, and I think it's a really unique looking book. I'm excited to see what this ensemble is going to bring, and I think Kelly Thompson usually writes ensembles really well. So overall, giving that 3 stars, and that is number 6. All right, now we get to the topic of the video, Avengers Inc. versus Batman and Robin. So you're going to find out which one I enjoyed more, because the lower one was the one I enjoyed least. So that's Avengers Inc. issue 1. But interestingly enough, you're going to see where Batman and Robin land. I actually feel like they're both very similar in my enjoyment of issue 1s for different reasons. We'll talk about Avengers Inc. first. Avengers Inc. What I liked about this issue is it felt really unique. It felt different. It's Avengers covert. You know, they're not wearing suits. They're not wearing costumes. They're digging into the past of Avengers, and it's all Wasp. There's one character that you're following through, so you're like, okay, I get her point of view. I get what this book's about. In the end, you get some Hank Pym stuff. You get to see this team kind of come together, get to understand the plot. It's a lot of exposition. It's a little bit more of the political side of Avengers, but I enjoyed it. You just gotta take your time to read it. The artwork I thought was pretty solid for this book as well. So overall, giving that 3.5 stars. Did it wow me? No. Like I said, it was a little hard to get through depending on, make this your first book to read. Like this was my 5th or 6th book, and I was like, okay, it's a little bit of a slower read than compared to others. But as a fan of Wasp, I want to learn even more about her. I don't think she always gets the spotlight like she deserves, and I'm glad she's getting it here. Moving on to number 4, you're going to see the verses come right at you because Batman and Robin issue 1 is number 4. So they're really, really close. They're both 3.5 star books. The reason this one's a little higher is just because it's connecting to the events that we've been seeing with Batman. Also, I really loved Robin, so I already kind of had that baggage, and it's the same writer. You're piggybacking off of that series. So you already have a lot of information compared to Avengers Inc., which is very new and fresh story. Batman and Robin kind of has the opposite problem of Avengers Inc. though, because one thing I really liked Avengers Inc. is that there's a cliffhanger, there's a true plot going on. It's like, okay, these villains are dying. What's going on here? How's it connected to Wasp? Here it's more about the interpersonal relationships. It's about Batman and Robin's relationship and what it means to be father and son as this gang war, Catwoman war is going on. So we get to see a lot from that. But honestly, just surface level, I don't know how much you can really scratch off of like, okay, son, we're in a new environment. And I thought the plot could have been a little stronger. I didn't really care about the villain here. And I don't know if it really showed like, look, we have this really interesting story arc. It's just like, no, we have these really interesting characters that are stuck in an event right now that we're going to be discussing. The art I felt like fit pretty well for this. It was a bit darker than I like for a Batman and Robin book. I like that color palette to be a little lighter, but I think Monet, I think is how you pronounce his name. He did his style really works for this book a lot. So overall, 3.5 stars. They're both pretty much in the same playing field. Like I said, they're back to back. One's 5 and one's 4. But I'm interested to see where both go. And if I had to pick a favorite, I would say it's Batman and Robin with my particular baggage of the characters. All right, moving on to number 3, which is Green Lantern issue 3. I felt like with Dawn of DC and the Night Terror breaking it apart, I was a little worried about Green Lantern. I'm like, oh, am I going to remember everything that happened? And there were times here where I was like, oh, this kind of stopped the momentum a little bit. But overall, I think it did a pretty good job of explaining, okay, he just dropped out of a plane. This is how his powers are working. Sinestro's back. Let's see a little bit of his relationship with Carol. End of story. And I like what they're building. I like the world they're building. I like that it's truly going back to basics, and you have the Earth setting, which I always enjoyed the most with Green Lantern. It's very reminiscent of Jeff Johns' run of Green Lantern. There's still little moments that I don't know if I'm totally bought on, like Carol, just the businesswoman. I'm like, oh, I really want to see her Star Sapphire. I want to at least mention that she's a hero as well, and I don't want her to be played as a damsel, so I'm curious to see where that's going to go. And, I think we get so little tidbits of them, it's hard to tell what direction they're going in. But I like the Sinestro stuff a lot. The art's really solid for this, and again, if you're looking for that reminiscent time of when Green Lantern was pretty much the flagship book of DC, I feel like this is the most familiar to that. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to number 2, which is the Incredible Hulk issue 4. I love this book. It's one of my favorite books out right now. I'm really enjoying it. And this issue, I was a little worried because we had different artists. So I was like, oh, it's going to be a whole different arc. But really, it tackled a lot of things that were from the previous issue, especially with, I think her name's Charlie, the sidekick character, where we get to see a lot of her past and why she wants to team up with Hulk so much. You really do get a big glimpse of maybe she killed her dad died, it seemed like, and she has a brother or family member that's related too, and you get little hints of what happened in her past and in the dark side of her, and I really enjoyed that. Do I think the artwork was as strong as Nick Klein's artwork? No, I do think it's a very different style, but I think it's pretty much worked for this one. It's still dark, it's still gritty, so overall giving that 4 stars. I enjoyed it, and I'm really enjoying the ride for Hulk overall. All right, moving on to number 1. Speaking of dark stories, that is Dark Ride, issue 8. This is the last issue of the second arc. And honestly, this is a really great point A to point B issue where we get to see our main character reveal some bits of his past. He finds out why his mom died. We get to see him still in the present, dealing with his father, dealing with the curse kind of lifting up again, and his daughter gets involved by the end. That's the cliffhanger where you're like, okay, it's definitely within the family, just like what happened to his mom. Is that going to happen to him? Is that going to happen to his daughter? And what's so interesting about this issue in general is I like that the main character is very morally gray. He's not like his family where you're like, yeah, they're kind of evil. They're dealing with these evil stuff. You feel for the character. You feel, he's always afraid. How is he going to deal with this fear? And I liked his partnership with the girl as well, the one whose brother died. I think she's an interesting character. And overall, a very solid issue to end this arc, and very excited to see where it goes. I love this series. So I give that 4 stars, and that is my pick of the week. Let me know in the comments below what were your favorite comics of the week so you have a chance to be featured. Last week's viewer pick of the week was Silver Surfer, and here are some comments about that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, and I'll see you guys in the next one.